If you like what you hear, please take time to review us on Apple Podcasts and make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode. Also, if you'd like to be on the podcast, let us know, or if you have someone you would like us to feature, let us know that as well. So welcome to another episode of the Business Lifestyle Podcast. I think we were just talking, this is episode 18,
19,
which is, we took a little break over Christmas and then had some weather breaks. We had to postpone you a couple times because of the weather. So Today we have with us Mike Camblin, and your Cattlemen's Association representative.
Yep. Yeah, with the Northwestern Colorado rep.
Perfect. And what all does that entail?
So basically, I just support the affiliates or the local cattlemen's for like Moffat, Grand, Rio Blanco route. I'm kind of like the go-between between the Colorado cattlemen's and their affiliates.
Gosh, okay, that's exciting.
Keeps you busy.
Keeps you busy. Yeah.
It does a lot of traveling.
Yeah. Speaking of cattle, kind of like cattle, it's a deer. I'm just going to throw it out there that maybe there's somebody in this podcast that possibly hit a deer last night's rumor.
I figured, yeah, you're not. Whatever, I see. I figured we've been down there almost 8 years now, so I figured 8 years. Like I'm due for it.
It comes in threes.
And I lined it up straight, man. It is straight on, so.
Yeah, 2 more and then you're good for a couple of years.
Oh, 2 more?
Yeah, it comes in threes.
Oh, no.
Great. Watch out, deer, because I'm just going to walk it up and be done.
Yeah, and she's driving Kyle's truck, so it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, gosh, yeah, this cold and the deer and everything.
Yeah.
I'm just over it. I'm over
Yeah.
the snow, and we haven't had snow like this for years. And
Cabin fever. And
Yeah.
it's only
Yes.
February.
yeah,
And
for
sunshine. Like, thankfully it's out today, but I
Yeah.
feel like we haven't had it. Like, it's
Yeah.
just
It's
Yeah.
like
been
depressing.
gloomy.
It was
Yeah.
12 below in Maybelle this morning.
It was.
Yeah,
It was
that's
nice
what
and
it was
cool.
out at our place too. Was north of town was 12 below.
You got some Maybelle yites.
Yeah, I guess.
Good country.
It
Yeah,
is.
for sure, for sure. So, are you from Maybelle originally, or?
No, I'm not. I grew up in Camblin, actually,
Oh, okay.
till I was a sophomore in high school, and then I moved to a little podunk town called Westcliff down
Yep.
southern Colorado, and I graduated high school there. And then I went to NJC, and that's where I met my wife.
Okay.
And then we kind of tallied around. We went to CSU, attended CSU. And eventually, when we started having children and stuff, we decided that Maybelle was a good place to raise kids. So
Yeah.
we loaded them up and moved over here. We've been here since '94, I think.
Oh, wow, cool.
So, yeah, it's a good place to raise kids.
Good deal. It is. It is. We are really fortunate here in our area.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
that we have the good life.
Exactly.
You know,
And our kids still
Yeah.
get to be outside, and I don't know.
Yeah,
It's just
Yep.
good.
and do outside stuff, and you don't have to worry that they're going to get kidnapped and
Right.
what have you.
Cody always asks, when we help them move cows, she'll be like, "Where's your horse, Mike?"
You don't ride a horse,
Not much. I don't.
so
I'm
you
the-
have like the 4-wheeler guy.
I'm the 4-wheeler guy.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
always asks him, "Where's your horse?" He's
She
like,
does. Yeah.
Cody, she's a wild ass.
Yeah. She's a lot of fun.
She is. She is. She takes it very seriously.
She does.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was helping us one day, and my father-in-law's got a great big tall horse, and he's a short guy.
Mm-hmm.
And she's all, "How do you get on that thing? Do you use the trailer to step on first?" She was funny.
forgot about that.
She has to know all the details.
Yep.
And yeah. Well, she was in school the other day, and they had the
Oh, yeah, the
they had
DOW there.
Mike Swirl, yeah. Identifying pelts, and she was like, "Yep, yep, yep, yep." She cruised
knows
right
her
through
stuff.
it. Yeah,
She
cruised right
does.
through it. She
Yeah.
tell them how to like skin them and everything too.
I don't know, probably. She was probably like, "This is a terrible job."
I'm looking forward to see where she goes in life.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
for sure. For
Not
sure.
too worried about that one. It's the other one that...
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a little wild man too. Oh, he's a
gosh.
character.
So
Yeah.
what kind of new stuff do you have, or what have you been going to meetings for Cattlemen stuff and Moffat County and
Oh, gosh.
the direction it's headed?
You know, the Cattlemen's is quite the association. It's amazing how much they do for the cattlemen. They, like right now, we're looking at 50 different bills that's going through, and they evaluate them and decide, whether it's something they want to support, something they don't want to support, or something that they just monitor. And that's everything from, like this wolf reintroduction thing, or water bills, or several water bills that are coming through. And so they're, they got the cattlemen's back, because we don't have time to mess with this stuff. And so that association's set up for that.
And that's 50 bills just in Colorado?
Just in Colorado.
Holy crap.
Yeah. And so they do a lot. They spend a lot of time there. They do a lot with beef improvement. They've got a committee set up for beef improvement. They do an awful lot with water. The livestock water right thing is a hot topic right now. A lot of these people have had a water right for years, but they didn't realize that they didn't have a livestock water right.
Okay,
And,
what's the difference?
well, so that's what's kind of caught everybody off guard is there is a difference between irrigation water or ag water for crops and livestock. So if you've got a crop water, right, you can irrigate with it, but technically you're not supposed to let your livestock drink out of it.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. So like the Maybelle Ditch, when we run across that problem, we normally run our water from September till November 15th, November 30th, strictly for livestock, because we're done irrigating.
Uh-huh.
But the way that it's set up now, since we don't have a livestock water right, or we didn't until 2017, was that, if it was ever put under administration or call like it was 2 years ago, then they would have shut us off and we couldn't water our livestock.
Holy cow.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're still in charge of the Maybelle Ditch?
I am. I'm president of Maybelle
Yeah.
Ditch. Yep. And so we went ahead and got a livestock water right, but it's a 2017 appropriation date, so it's really not that old. I mean, like this last call, we still wouldn't have been able to run water. So it's caught a lot of ranchers and farmers off guard.
Yeah, because probably a lot of those, and maybe you as well, have the senior water right?
Yeah. Yeah, the Maybelle Ditch has got two water rights. One's like a 1901 and the other one's like a 1945.
Oh
So
my
they're
gosh.
old,
Yeah.
but there's no livestock attached to it. And so we had to get a whole nother water right for our livestock.
And is that the same like with the Yampa, with the river?
It is. It's through the Yampa. Yep.
Wow.
Wow.
So the cattlemen's really watch that stuff. And it's not just the river people and stuff. It's, I think a lot of these town people have got wells that do not have a livestock water right attached to it. And technically, if the area is put under administration, then they're not supposed to pump water to their horses or whatever.
Okay, so like when we sell a property and it says domestic water, right?
It's just for the house.
Just for the house.
Yep, exactly. You need to get a livestock water right attached to it.
And how do you do
Wow.
that?
Yeah.
So you go down to the water commissioner down here, downtown on Main Street, and just apply for it. And it's not hard to apply for them. It's just, it takes some time.
And is the guy there on a regular basis?
Yeah, there's actually two people there. Tyler and Sarah both work there, but they're busy in the summertime. So, I think it's better to call ahead and get a schedule. Or,
Yeah, I know Casey and I both had trouble getting a hold of him, but I think that was
It's
summer.
summer.
It was like
Yeah.
August. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow,
So that's all coming up, and like I said, the cattlemen really watch that kind of stuff. They try to protect our backs there.
Yeah. So cattle ranchers can be cattle ranchers instead of bureaucrats
Right.
dealing with all the
Yep,
red tape. You can
Yep.
do what you love and
they do.
let somebody else handle
They
it.
do.
Holy cow! What are some of the other bills that?
So, well, some of the other stuff that they work on is like the fake meat that's coming out or whatever. I mean,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
kind of a huge thing. And in our mind, if they want to eat fake meats, that's fine. They can do that.
Sure.
But don't badmouth
Yeah.
our product either.
Exactly.
exactly.
Because beef is very sustainable.
Yep.
And so they watch that. They watch some of these large groups like PETA and so forth, and kind of what they're doing and so forth. So they've got definitely a lot on their plate, and they've got a
like it.
really good group. So
Very
good.
good.
They are constantly going.
Wow.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
so every day there's something.
Yeah.
And then how often do you have to attend meetings?
So I think there's 8 meetings a year that I'm required to go to. And that's just with the board, with the CCA board. But then I go to all of the affiliate meetings too, and they each at least have 2 meetings a year. And so I go to probably 4, maybe 5 meetings a month.
Wow. At the state capitol or?
No, they have one at the state capitol, and they just got done doing that. So we go in and we wine and dine the Senate and all the bigwigs there, and talk to them about our concerns and what we'd like to see happen with some of these bills, what we think is a good bill and what we
Right.
think is a poor bill. And so just get to know them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And let
Yeah.
them know who you are, so they have a face with the name, and that, yeah, you're
Yeah.
an important person, you know,
We
as far
do.
as cattle rancher. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we go, they bus us in there, and we go in there and we try to grab as many senators and
Yeah.
stuff as we can, and we grab them and pull them back on the bus, and then we take them back and we serve them a drink and a steak and
Nice.
twist their ear a little bit.
Yeah,
And just
that's
listen
good.
sometimes. Just
Yeah.
listen.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, and it's good.
Have to kind of jump back just a little bit, but have you always been interested in cattle ranching? Was that kind of your goal?
Yes, I have. I didn't grow up on a ranch as a child. I did, 4-H and FFA and all that, but we didn't have a ranch. My dad had a trucking company. And so when I went to college, when I went to NJC, I got an ag business degree, and then when I went to CSU, I got I worked on my animal science degree.
Oh, okay.
And then as life happened, I ended up in the construction industry, and I did that for about 24 years.
Oh, okay.
And my wife has always helped with the family ranch, and so that was her deal, was the kids in the family ranch on
Right.
her dad's place. And then in 2017, we sold that construction company to my son Carl,
Right.
and he now runs that. And I dived in full time with the ranch with Dana, and we bought a bunch of purebred stock, Angus, and we specialize in bulls and do private treaty bulls and stuff like that.
Well, and do you have the Wagyu?
No, we don't. But
Okay, I thought
well,
I'd
so
seen something about that.
we've
once.
messed with the Wagyu a little bit. As you guys know, Dana and Cole, they do a lot of the show stock and so forth. And the Wagyu, several of the Wagyu dealers and associations and so forth use them to clip their animals at stock show.
Oh, okay.
And that's how they got involved in the Wagyu, is they go down and clean them up and bathe them and clip them. And
Okay, because
Make
I
'em look
think I
fancy.
saw something Call had posted once, and so I told Parker, "Oh my gosh, Call has Wagyu." Okay.
No,
yeah.
they've done that for, oh gosh, it's been 8 or 10 years they've done that every
That's
year.
cool.
Done at stock show.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very cool. So then that gives you more time to. I say more time. You're probably super busy, but it gives you time to be involved.
I
with the
am. I
Cattlemen's
enjoy my
Association.
job. I really like my job. You can't beat it. It's too bad I didn't pay better, but
Yeah.
but I really do enjoy what I do very much.
Yeah.
It's easy to get up and go to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we definitely need farmers and ranchers. I mean, that's what
yeah.
made our country. So.
And there's so much more to it. To have a healthy ranch, I mean, it's just not cattle. You got to take care of the land, and we do. We measure all of our grass. We know what species of shrubs, what species of grass, the microbes that are in the soil, the mineral cycles, everything. We measure all that
Wow.
so that we know exactly what's there and how to manage it, so that it's healthy. Because if the land's not healthy,
You're not.
yeah,
Yeah.
your cattle don't do well. Your wildlife don't do very well, and so we spend a lot of time managing our place.
And I don't think people realize that too on the wildlife side, how much ranchers help the wildlife just like that,
Mm-hmm.
They do.
they're eating our alfalfa too,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if the wildlife is not there, then you don't have a healthy habitat,
Nope.
and your cows are not going to thrive too. So they've got to work together.
Yep.
Right.
And like I said, we spend a lot of time in there, and if you don't measure it, you can't manage it. And so
Yep.
we
Exactly.
measure a lot. And most people think, oh, you measure your grass, but we do. We do it several different ways. Of course, visually, we check it visually when we're out there horseback or just bumming around or whatever. We set up trisects, which is basically you take 300 feet of line and you put it in a straight line, and then you take a 3 by 3 foot square and put it at every 100 feet. And then you actually look in that square and look and see what we got for species, whether it's a shrub or a grass or a weed. We look at the litter, which is actually dead plant material, which you
Okay.
want.
Okay.
That's good. We even look at the breakdown of a cow patty that's in there. If it's starting to break down, it's healthy. If it's not, it's
What are they
good.
eating? And-
Yeah.
Yeah, and that tells us what the microbes in the soil are doing. We look at the mineral cycle, which is basically the water. If it's hard packed and your water's running off or it's making big grooves or whatever, then you don't have a healthy soil. And so, there's a lot to it.
Yeah, it sounds like it. A lot more than I ever thought. I mean, I know you guys are always busy and stuff, and I've been around. I grew up in town in Hayden, but all of our friends and stuff were usually on ranches, and I just knew they were busy, but I never thought about all of the thought process and the work that has to go into it to having
Yeah.
a good ranch.
You do, and you see a lot of these people say, oh, ranchers don't know anything about the land or whatever, but they
Holy, yeah, they do.
definitely do. They're
Wow.
out there every single
Yeah.
day and they know how to manage it.
Wow. Well, I know you were saying something about the wildlife that you guys, one of my friends east of Craig here has a cattle ranch by the railroad tracks. And she posted a picture on Facebook or Instagram the other day, and she had the elk had come down to eat with the cows. And she's like, well, they came down early, to get some dinner. And I'm like, holy smokes. And they were some nice elk,
Yeah.
with their
Yeah.
big racks, but they were popped down for a little snack, I guess. And
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've got there for a while we had almost 200 head on us every day.
wow, in addition to your
Um,
cows.
Yeah, and then now the DOW's kind of got them pushed off of us a little bit, and there's 17 or 18 every morning out there kind of milling around
Coming
with the
in.
cows. But
So what do you mean they've got them pushed off to you? Do they like get them to go somewhere else?
yeah, they try to, because they're eating, our hay and so forth,
Okay.
and so they try to get them to move, north of us, and so they're actually a pretty good group. We work well with them. We call and say, hey, we've got some problems. They're getting into our hay or whatever, and so they do what they can to help us.
Oh, well, that's good.
So,
Yeah.
like I said, it's good to see them there, but
Right.
they're expensive also. I mean, with hay at $160
That's what
a
Kyle
ton.
always says, being an outfitter and rancher, it's a love-hate relationship
It
because
is.
they do bring us a lot of money, but then fixing fence, hey, but
Yep.
you just kind of got to work with them.
Yeah.
And
Yep. So
Yeah. I remember there was a thing about, and maybe it still is, like the elk panels
yeah,
that you had to keep
Yep.
them out of your hay and stuff.
yep, they still do that.
Oh, do they?
Yep.
And you get those from the DOW or something. I remember you and
Yeah.
I have talked
Yeah.
about that before.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
What else exciting on the cattle world? What else for Moffat County?
Oh,
or
gosh,
what can people be helping with?
Gosh, get involved. That's one thing. Water is really, really a huge issue right now,
Which
and
is scary.
But do we have that problem over here, or is that more on the eastern slope?
well, so it is on the eastern slope. So this basin is actually a fairly young basin. I mean, if you look at the water rights, we've got some older water rights, late 1800s, early 1900s. But you get to looking around, and there's water rights in other parts of the states that are a lot older than ours are. We developed late, and we've always had water that we've needed until 2 years ago when we had the first call on the river. And so now we're starting to see the growing pains just like they did over there.
I see.
And so now we're starting to look at livestock water issues that are coming up. Of course, we've got the recovery species, the fish that are in there that we've got to deal with. And And then education, you know, we need to educate these people to make sure that, you know, they claim that the rancher is not irrigating right. You know, they were wasting the water, but ag takes 80% of the Yampa River. We have 80% of the water tied up through agricultural water rights. So that's huge.
That is, yeah.
We'd like to give a big shout out to E&L Signs for being our sponsor of this podcast. E&L Signs serves Western Colorado and Eastern Utah for all your screen printing and vehicle lettering needs. With over 30 years experience, Ed and Lauren will get it done for you. So remember, E&L Signs.
But if it wasn't for the farmer and the rancher taking that water and using it on their crops, we would not have a return flow, a late return flow in September. So in other words, all that water we dump on our fields comes back to the river later in the year in like September. But if we didn't irrigate and it just went down to California or whatever, it's gone. And by September, the river would be dried up.
Oh, wow.
But since we use that water and it sits in the fields and then that slowly goes back to the river, that's our late return flow.
I see.
And so it's very important that we continue to use the water the way we have. And then, so the migratory birds use our fields to migrate. So if you look at the patterns of the birds as they fly, they land in like our fields, like you get the geese and stuff. That's stopping points on their way south, and that's stopping points on their way north.
Which is important.
Yeah, so I went to a meeting here the other day, and and they monitored that. They're starting to see a decrease in these migratory birds, and they were trying to figure out why. Well, the decrease is actually in the irrigated fields and the farmers, because there's not as many around as there was.
Many farmers around. Yeah.
Hence, the birds are starting to disappear a little bit too.
Man.
It's just a big cycle.
It is.
It is. And people really need to wake up and pay attention.
Yeah. Yep. And that's what it comes to education. I mean, it's not, you know, you hear a lot of things about the cattle rancher and the farmers bad for the environment and so forth, and we're really not.
No, you're
we're
good
there
stewards.
to help them.
Yeah.
So.
Well, interestingly enough, we have, and I kept saying it was a sage grouse, and then I guess it isn't. It's some kind of like grouse bird, but we've lived north of town for 13 years. We've never had these birds on our place. And we're, I was going to say, north of Fortification.
Yes.
Okay. She's helping me with my directions. I've always been an east or a left and right girl. Now I can pretty well get it, you know.
North
My dad's like, I've spent 48 years trying to teach her directions. Casey does it in a year and a half. But anyway, just here in the last probably 6 months, we've had these birds in our trees and stuff. And we've always had the eagles that'll hang out in our trees and whatever. But these guys all go out in the morning, and sometimes there'll be 3 of them, and they look like a sage grouse to me. But I guess Oscar was talking about it at coffee, and somebody, Dean Gent or somebody said, no, that's not a sage grouse. But they'll hang out in the tree, and I don't know if it's because the people that bought the place to the south of us have changed the way it was before. They use it as more like a horse property, and it was just basically land. The people that lived there before didn't do anything with it. I don't know
So it's moving around.
what's all of a sudden got them hanging out at our house. They're cool, and I love seeing them as big as they are to hang on those little branches, and the branch will kind of bounce a little bit, you know, and then they kind of
Feel your pain, bird.
yeah, exactly. But it's interesting, and I don't know why. I wonder if it's maybe the change of the.
It sounds like it very well could be. It's
Wow.
amazing how much a little bit here will affect your wildlife and so forth.
Yeah. Oh gosh,
So-
And I
we
think
can't
it
have our
even,
birds disappear.
and even going to the ground squirrels and managing them. And if one neighbor doesn't manage them, well, they're gonna come over, and then you have badger. It's just a circle, like seasons for ranchers for everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
It really is.
Oh, I
Yep.
remember when people thought those voles were harmless. I'm like, those voles are little jerks, you know, they're going to destroy your yards and everything. And people are like, oh,
And
no big deal.
diseases, those little ground squirrels, they carry a lot of diseases. So
Yeah.
They do. You
they
got the
do.
bubonic plague and all that
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
you gotta take care of all that.
stuff. Yep.
Yeah, one of my barn cats last year had fleas, and he's never, ever had fleas. before ever, and I had to take him in. I was taking him in for something else, and Kelly said, "Do you know he has fleas?" And I'm like, "No," but he doesn't come inside. He's strictly an outdoor cat. But
Sure.
yeah, exactly.
It's not quite as cuddly as he was before.
No, he's not. No, luckily he's not. He's like human. You can stand over there. It's typical cat. But it was weird to me because he's never had that before. So I don't know. He must have got a hold of something and that's what Kelly said. He grabbed something that had some fleas, and
Yep,
so
they
yeah,
just
it's just
transferred to him.
yeah, exactly.
And that's why I think like these bigger snowfall winters, these last couple, I think are helping.
Yeah, this
Hay
winter especially,
fields,
right?
like-
We're going to be good.
Oh yeah, I think so far, I mean, it could turn off to be a drought starting tomorrow, but right now we're in really good shape, water-wise and everything else.
And it's been a good wet snow. It's melted. Especially, I speak because I live in the Maybelle community, so I see it there. Up north, I mean, they're getting tons of
yeah.
snow. My cousin out there said it is a wet, and it's a wet snow, and it's soaking in, and then the next storm hits, and that's really good.
Yeah, we kind of cuss the snow a little bit when it comes, but boy, it'll sure help us in the summertime.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the other day I think I was telling you we were coming down our driveway, and it had been just enough warm that the snow in our driveway was now like this slush stuff so I'm like four-wheeling in my Jeep coming up and in and out of the driveway because you'd be down like this far to the bottom of the driveway.
Well, when you were a kid, you played in it. It was fun. But
Yeah.
when you get to be an adult,
Exactly.
it's just a lot of work.
Exactly. That's what Oscar said every time he goes to get in the Ranger and plow. He's like, "God damn it, I got to go plow again." I'm like, "Okay, at least you have a nice Ranger,
It's like every other day now.
Yeah, like back in my day, I had to like shovel with a snowblower. You have a Ranger."
Yeah. Yep. Now we're getting to go to school with the uphill both ways.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
There we go.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. I don't know. I told my father-in-law one time, I said, I'd love to go back in the old days and live. And he goes, "Not me. I've been there."
Yeah, exactly.
Don't want to do that.
I always tell everyone, my husband has to tell me, John Wayne was a movie. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know. I feel like I could be right with him. Like, I don't know. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
Looks cool to me.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure. Oh my gosh, yeah. My husband grew up on a ranch, and I always wanted to live out in the country because when we moved here in '78 from California, that was like my dad and I's dream to live in the country, and my mom was like, "No." So I finally got to live in the country, and my husband's like, "It's not all it's cracked up to be. It's work, it's this, it's that, the other, and I'm like, "Oh no," because I had like this glamorous image of living in the country. Yeah, it's great, but yeah, days where you have to shovel your way out of the front door,
It
it's
is.
like, what?
It is.
But he wouldn't trade it, It's quiet, and we don't have livestock, but other than a
You
couple
get
barn
cows,
cats.
it's a 7-day, 365-day a year job. It's
Yeah.
Every day.
You got to get up every day and
Feed
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dan and I talk about that on occasion when people post on Facebook. They're going south where it's warm for the week, and they're
Uh-huh.
Like your
I love the cows
father-in-law.
that go south. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
kind of
exactly.
snowbird. We just have to
Yeah.
take them with us. I
Yeah,
guess.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's not like you can like get somebody to take care of them.
Right, it's hard.
Maybe if you had some cool neighbors. I
It's
don't know.
like,
I'm kidding.
Casey.
Never mind.
Is that a hint?
No.
Did you want to go?
yeah, Kyle, are you volunteering, Kyle?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, he's not here to defend himself. Kyle, I'll take care of your cows if you want.
Yep. I've got his number.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, give him a call. He'll be great.
I hate to even bring it up. Actually, I don't hate to bring it up because it's part of it. Is there anything on the Cattlemen side about the wolf stuff? Like,
Oh yeah, so that's really, really huge, and we're working really, really hard on that. So the Colorado Cattlemen's, the Wool Growers Association, the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, the Colorado Farm Bureau, and there are several others that got together and they started a group called Coloradoans Protecting Wildlife. And what that is it's kind of an educational thing. We're trying, because with the ballot issue coming up right now, they're going to let people vote on whether we want wolves on the western side of the mountain. And so it's designed to educate the voters is what it is. And so we consider that ballot box biology. Colorado Parks and Wildlife it stated several years ago that the wolf did not fit. And so,
Here.
yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't. You know, we've got, our population is different, our wildlife is different, our ground is different than a lot of these other states that have introduced it. And so, what we're trying to do is educate people on this issue, and so there's a lot to it. So the group that's introducing them is an out-of-state group, and
Of course.
when they could not get the Colorado Parks and Wildlife to agree to let them introduce, they went to this ballot thing, which is the first time that it's ever been done in the nation. And so they're letting people like you guys and me vote on this, but if you don't have the knowledge of what you're voting on,
Right.
the science, I mean, it could be detrimental to not only the wolves that are here, because we do have wolves here. We
Right.
dump these wolves in on top of those, and they're going to kill the wolves that we do have. And not to mention, we've already have conflicts with the wildlife, you know, as far as bears and cats and all that. You're seeing that all the time, coyotes.
Right.
And so we introduce another predator like that, and it could be hard on us.
Just
And so,
screws the whole cycle up.
yeah, and so that website is designed to educate people, is what it is. So
And
that we
what's the
don't have
website
to-
again?
It's Coloradoans Protecting Wildlife.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, we're gonna have
Get
to
on there
share
and
that on our
support people.
pages. Yeah.
Yep. Get
Yeah,
on
it
and
is.
support.
Yep.
Yeah.
And educate yourself and just
Yeah.
find out why we're opposed it
Right.
with the wolves, because it's not only, I mean, we love our animals. I mean, our
Sure.
cows are all pets. I mean, you can go out and just
Oh,
about
Polly.
Polly. Polly's been around for a long time, and she's one of our better cows. And gosh, she went through the show circuit with my daughter and everything else. And she's a little like a cat, you know. If she wants to come visit you, she'll come and let you scratch her. But if she
Right.
doesn't, she just turns her back and
Right.
off she goes.
Not today. Yeah.
Yep. And so, you know, I'd sure hate to see Polly or one of Polly's calves get
Yeah.
ate, and so she's pretty unique. You know, all of ours have got a number except for Polly, and Polly has a name on her name tag or on her ear tag.
Yeah.
You know, she
The
doesn't have a number.
neighbors know. My kids will drive by and be like, "Oh, there's Polly out in the field."
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
That's
I don't
cool.
think people realize that.
No. Well, and especially the governor when he said, "Let's welcome my canine friends." No, keep them at your house. We don't want them over here.
That's right.
We're
we
making a
don't.
living.
You know, my
We do.
taxidermist friends are very concerned for their livelihood.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the same with the tax thing. I mean, so Coloradans are going to have to pay for this wolf to be reintroduced,
Oh,
and so
I didn't realize that.
I didn't either.
yeah, it's going to
That's
come out of your
super
taxes.
fantastic.
And
That's
so
great. That's awesome.
yeah, and so if we've got wolves, why dump wolves on top of it and then have to pay for it?
Right, right, exactly.
So if they're going to come, let them come naturally.
Right,
Don't force it.
right.
So that's a huge issue that the cattlemen are working on right now. Is that one of the other issues on their thing is then that's just come up too is so years and years ago the cattlemen's was actually based at the stock show in one of those old buildings there, and it got old and decrepit, and so we had to move out into a new building. And now with the rebuilding of the stock show and everything, we're looking at trying to get back into that same building and rebuild it and make it a new office for us. And so we're working on that right now too. So we're
Oh, that's
hoping,
neat.
we're excited to move back to our roots at
Yeah,
the stock show.
that'll be really cool.
Yeah. And that building is so there'll be CSU is going to be involved in that, and they'll have like a little area for water education, and you know, it's kind of an educational hall for the public.
Oh, I would love that.
That
So
is
they're
really
not-
cool. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
understanding water and water rights is really important.
It is. It's huge. It's huge. And then, you know, just so like they've got the program called the BQA, which is called Beef Quality Assurance. And we're pushing all producers, you know, to get involved with that. And what that is it's basically, it makes sure that the ranchers take care of their animals with the way they're supposed to, you know,
Right.
as far as that goes, you know, whether, if we've got to doctor them, you know, they're sick, we do doctor them, but let's make sure we doctor them right and so forth. And,
I remember that through 4-H. We all
Yeah.
had to take it every year.
It's the exact same program, and
Yep.
so now we're going around and we're trying to educate the older ranchers and so forth. And actually, so Dan and I have done that. We've taken the classes and so forth, and we market our cattle to 44 farms, which goes to Walmart, and that's one of their criteria that we have to be through that BQA program.
That's awesome.
So
Yeah, so it is important.
it is.
And it's, I mean, you can't make them take it, but if they realize how important it is
It is.
to their
Yep, it's for
herd.
the well-being of the animals and themselves too. Because they teach, you know, low stress handling and all that, and so it just makes us all a better producer.
Right, right.
Yeah.
How many less ranchers in the area or in northwestern part of the state are there since when you started? Do you have any idea? Or?
You know, I really don't. You know, I think it's the same as all others. There's an aging
Factor.
rancher there,
and
you
then
know.
the kids don't want to come back and take it over. Yeah.
So that's a problem, and so I think that's something we need to work on. But I think there's a handful like you guys that are getting involved that are young and they want to try to make it work. And
Yeah.
and Moffat County's actually got a great bunch of people. You know, Keith Pankey and his wife just got Conservationist of the Year
Right,
award,
I saw that.
and that's huge. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I think things like that, you know, if we can get the younger generation involved in some of that stuff, not only will it make you more profitable, but it'll make it your land better and everything else. And I think that's what we need to do to get our young people involved is
Right.
learn to manage better. You know, it's really hard to buy ground and pay for it with agriculture right now.
Right.
Because
It
there's
is.
just not enough money in it. But I think there's a will, there's a way. And we just got to think outside the box to make sure that our younger generation continues.
Right. It is important. Yeah.
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 So there's a lot of these things, you know, like these land trusts years ago, you know, it was a scary thing. A lot of people, that was, you know, not something that a lot of these ranchers wanted to step into. But
Right.
you look at some of the new programs. So Colorado Cattlemen's has that. They've got the Colorado Cattlemen's Land Trust.
Okay.
And that program is actually designed for a rancher, so you can keep the ground and run it just like ranches,
But it's in the conservation.
but it's in a conservation
Okay.
easement, and so it's kind of designed for the younger generation to come back, because it allows them to have a little more money to come back. Whether it gives the retired rancher a retirement, or the younger generation maybe enough money to buy cows, you know, whichever
Right.
group decides to put it in, and then it stays a ranch.
That's great.
And so there's little things you can do like that to get the younger generation involved.
Right.
Like you said, just kind of thinking outside the box and reach
Yeah.
out to resources and
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. How's the way to make it work? Mhm.
Yep.
So
Very cool.
I think there's a lot of things that we can do, and there's always something to learn. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
Yep. Staying
So-
up on it.
Yeah.
If someone wanted to join the Moffat County Cattlemen's, how would they go about doing that?
Oh gosh, there's several different ways they can contact me. Chad Green is our president. They can contact him. Keith Pankey is our treasurer. They can contact him, or the Colorado Cattlemen's Direct. You know, just get on the internet and Google Colorado Cattlemen's, and it'll come up. I think there's a button right there on the page that says
Yep.
"Join here," and
Well, I think it's awesome what you're doing, and I think it goes unnoticed what you guys are doing for the community as well. I really do.
yeah.
I would agree with that.
It
Yeah.
is. They've kind of stayed out of the limelight, I think, for a lot of years, kind of working under the radar. But I think now, with the dynamics of the way
It's time
the world
to-
is, it's time to maybe make us a little more known.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree.
Absolutely. And how important it is to the cycle of life, you know,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And just understanding the issues and, you know, for the, what do I want to say?
Yeah.
that's politically correct. I'm not really good at being politically correct. But the new little generation that's all techie, that doesn't understand or care or whatever, they've got to stop and realize this is important. This is very important
Mm-hmm.
to
It is.
you continuing to have your little techie world,
When they don't realize where the meat that they're buying at the grocery store comes from.
That's right.
Yeah, the shoes.
Shoes,
the-
everything.
Everything, yep. Plastic, I mean, all that, glue,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, like I said, we just got to educate that
Education.
younger generation.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
agree.
You did go to the wolf meeting last night.
I did.
And do you think that was educational for people?
It was very educational. It was a very good meeting. They had a huge turnout. I would guess there was well over 200 people there.
Wow.
I'm bummed we missed it. It's my fault.
Yeah.
It was the deer's fault.
Exactly.
It wasn't your fault.
Yep. Yeah, they had some really good speakers. They had Colorado Parks and Wildlife. They had the U.S. Fish and Wildlife, and they just kind of told us a little bit about what we can do, what we shouldn't do, and then there's not really a really good plan. There is not a plan in place right now for Colorado. 10 years ago or 15 years ago or however long it was, they started on a plan, and it was building in a really good plan, and then it just never got finished. And so that's our next step, I think, is if we've got wolves here or going to be introduced, we've got to get together and come up with a plan, because right now we don't know, if they introduce them, how many wolves they're going to reintroduce, or if they come in here naturally, what we let the numbers, they're allowed here.
Yeah, what do we manage it at?
Yeah.
Will they go around and talk to different communities all over the state, do you think, with this presentation?
I think they're going to. I think this was kind of one of the first off-the-cuff type, let's hurry up and have one of these meetings or whatever, but
Gotcha.
I think that they're going to have to do that. Especially if this ballot bill passes, they're just going to have to start educating not only their ranchers and farmers, but other people too.
Well, we need to educate people to not
Yeah.
vote for it.
Well, just like that,
Right.
I didn't know our tax dollars was gonna. I had no
I didn't
idea that
either.
our tax dollars.
I knew I
gonna
was
pay for
against
that.
it. Now I'm really against it.
Right.
We don't need any more of that.
Oh man, our schools struggle so much and so forth
Yeah.
with money and everything. I'd rather see some of that money go to the schools. and so
Absolutely.
forth.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see what happens.
It will
Yeah. Anything else we need to cover
that you wanna
that we
cover?
haven't?
Oh gosh, not that I can think of. I mean, I'm sure there's lots of. we can
Right,
talk all
exactly.
day.
Yeah.
Get us a beer and we'll be here all night.
Yeah.
Like,
That's right.
it'll
I
solve
know
the
we
world
could do like a
problems.
whole one just on water. That's
Oh,
that's
yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
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 I spend a lot of time with water. I sit on the Yampa White Green Round Table, so I spend a lot of time in water meetings also.
Oh yeah.
So.
That's really interesting, especially Casey, because she
Yeah,
does
I'm all-
farm and ranch stuff. That's her focus here
Yeah.
at King Homes and Land. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, and it's such an important part.
it
Yes,
is. It
it
is.
is.
Yeah.
So.
So what's the one thing that we always ask this question of our guests that is a habit for you every day, whether it's a morning or night, that if you don't do it, you feel like your day is a shit show, but if you do it, you've set yourself up for success and you're going to have a good day? Do you have like a habit or?
Well, I do. My day's always a shit show, but I got to have my coffee in the morning. That's one thing. But I do in the evenings. I try to sit down and kind of make a plan for the day before is what I do. Of course, a phone call. Anytime that phone rings, it's somebody and they want something or whatever.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
that
Screws the
always
whole
changes
thing
your
up.
direction.
Yep.
But yeah, I think I try to sit down and plan what I do, and Dan and I sync our calendars on our phones, and so
Nice.
I know what meetings she's got too. She knows what meetings I got, and so forth. And a lot of times, if I don't look at those the night before, I'll be going about my day, and she'll go, "Don't you have a meeting in an hour?" I was like, "Oh,
Yes, yes,
I
I do.
Or if you don't get it in your calendar.
Yeah.
I had an eviction hearing yesterday and I didn't get it in my calendar. And like at 5:03, I realized I
no.
forgot the 10 o'clock hearing. So I texted the attorney, I'm so sorry. He's like, don't even worry about it. But I don't like missing things, and I always try to keep things in the appointments because
amazing how
otherwise it
handy
throws
those
it.
are.
Oh, yeah. It's slick.
So, yeah, and poor Dana, because I go to all these meetings and so forth, she's my go-to girl. Like this morning, she fed by herself and so forth. And
Oh, wow. Well, we appreciate her doing that.
so she does so much for me that way. And so, but she enjoys it. So her and I are different, she's kind of an introvert. She really enjoys spending time with the cows, and she'd rather spend there. And I do. I'm kind of a people person. I spend a lot of time with people, and so.
Yeah. So you're a good balance for each other.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, she's pretty sweet.
She is very sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, but she shakes her head sometimes when like this morning I rattled off my schedule and she's shaking her head all the time. Oh my gosh, how do you get yourself into these?
People know they can count on you. That's how.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
spend a lot of time doing it. So.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sweet.
Well, we sure appreciate you coming this morning to be on the podcast, and appreciate Dana feeding for you so you could do that. Or
Yep.
Dana, I'm sorry, I always
Yep.
pronounce it wrong.
Yeah. After this meeting, I got a BLM meeting here, so.
Oh,
gosh.
holy cow.
I'm after them next. I want them on the
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. Just to get everybody.
Again, educate.
Yeah,
That's how we
that's the
kind of all
thing.
started this. Is like we thought about doing like a yearly educational thing, and then we're like, let's do a podcast. Let's because you can change it so many different ways and educate new things and.
Yeah. And these are really popular people. Like I said, Dana watches this, so.
Good
That's
deal.
awesome.
She probably won't watch this one.
I don't know that guy.
I hear him enough. I don't need to hear him.
Sweet. Well, thank you for your involvement in our community.
Thank you very
Oh,
much.
sure.
Yeah, for all you do. We appreciate it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Glad to do it. Happy to do it.
Cool
Awesome.
deal.
Thank you.
Yep.
We'd like to give a big shout out to E&L Signs for being our sponsor of this podcast. E&L Signs serves Western Colorado and Eastern Utah for all your screen printing and vehicle lettering needs. With over 30 years experience, Ed and Lori will get it done for you. So remember, E&L Signs.
If you like what you hear, please take time to review us on Apple Podcasts and make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode. Also, if you'd like to be on the podcast, let us know, or if you have someone you would like us to feature, let us know that as well.